And we are back live. It is 9:44 a.m. here in Syracuse. Boost the Cuse rolls on. It's 6:44 a.m. for those of you just waking up on the West Coast, my current home, Los Angeles, California. Good morning to Syracuse Nation worldwide. My name is Scott Hansen, Syracuse grad, 1993, host of NFL Red Zone, and former Syracuse football player. I am thrilled to be your host for this, the second of 16 mini broadcasts originating from the Dick Clark Studios here at the SI Newhouse School of Public Communications, live all day here on March 23rd, 2023. Boost the Cuse 2023, a day of remembering our great university, being inspired about what's currently going on here on the Hill, and looking ahead to the future, and most importantly, a day of generosity, a chance for you to give of your treasure, your time, your talents to this great institution that helped form so many of us. Here on this show, we're going to be coming to you here now, 9:44 a.m. We'll be back at 10:44 a.m., 11:44 a.m., all through the day, going up to midnight tonight. It is a celebration of all things orange. On this particular show, we're going to take you to Byrd Library for a look at the Special Collections exhibit, A Love Supreme, highlighting Black cultural expression and political activism in the 1960s and the 1970s. We're also going to talk with a couple of deans. Newhouse Dean Mark Lodato will be here with us live, and Maxwell Dean David Van Slyke, about what's happening at their respective schools and how they have partnered. And we talk about Newhouse and Maxwell partnering up. They have established the Institute for Democracy, Journalism, and Citizenship in Washington, D.C. How needed is that these days in our nation, ladies and gentlemen? Syracuse, of course, is spearheading that effort. But we will start this part of the show by focusing on one of Syracuse University's true points of pride. Its unwavering mission to be the best place for veterans. This campus is home to the Daniello Institute for Veterans and Military Families. This is the nation's first interdisciplinary academic institute committed to advocacy, research, and assistance for military veterans and their families. Think about that. We at Syracuse University were the first in the United States to form such an entity to give back to those who have given us so much. This university's commitment to veterans and military students goes back more than 100 years. We've served World War I veterans shortly after World War I and have continued to all the way here into the 21st century. And thanks to the incredible support of you, our alumni, to donors and companies nationwide, this institution just continues to get stronger every year.
Transition from the military to civilian world can be a challenge. That's why Syracuse University's Institute for Veterans and Military Families was created, to position veterans, transitioning service members, and their families for success after service. Whether you want to own your own business, find your next career, reestablish a home base, or pursue a degree, we're here to help you. So are you ready for the challenge of running your own business? Both perseverance and discipline translate well from military service to business ownership. Whether you're formulating a business idea and need direction on where to start, or maybe you're ready for growth or looking to network with other companies, IVMF's arsenal of national training programs and free resources will arm you for success. Maybe you're eager to leverage your valuable military skills for your next career in the civilian world. Available in military communities nationwide, both in person and online, IVMF's Onward to Opportunity program provides no-cost career prep, training, and support. Professional career certifications offer a gateway to employment to nearly 1,000 employers. Do you feel like you're wading through the maze of organizations helping in your community? As you re-enter, America Serves community-based coordination services can deliver the support you need by connecting you to the best local providers in your community in the shortest amount of time. What if you're looking to set yourself up for success with a degree or academic credential? From the moment you start a journey with Syracuse University, you are embraced by the university's long-standing commitment to being the best place for veterans. Syracuse University is eager to help you reach your academic goals. And here's the thing, IVMF exists to help you. From the start of your application to long after program or degree completion, we'll provide ongoing support so you can put your new network, university resources, and partnerships to work for you. So far, we've impacted over 150,000 veterans, service members, and their families with programming and countless more with our research. We're committed to helping you get transition and beyond right. So no matter your challenge, we stand ready to serve you.
Well, that video really sets the stage for what this institute is all about and the critically important mission.
It really is. But I want to take a step back, and we have Mike Haney with us this morning. So thrilled to have him here and really think about with the university's strategy to be the best place for veterans. That starts on campus with the military-connected students. Talk to us about the Office of Veterans and Military Affairs and what that does here on this campus.
Sure. I think one of the things we realized when Chancellor Severud set the goal in 2014 for Syracuse University to be the exemplar, the best place for veterans in higher education, we realized quickly that the first thing we needed to do was focus on community building. You know, like for any underrepresented student population, we have to create the climate and the culture for our military-connected students to feel part of our university, welcome on this campus, to belong. And that's really been the hard work of the OVMA, along with all of the, you know, the sort of more process kind of things that come with being a military-connected student, processing GI Bill benefit paperwork and career counseling and all of that. But, you know, I would argue that the magic of OVMA is really about creating community.
Creating community starts the process, and then you have the facility, which helps the process as well. And for many alumni who are watching, they may not have yet seen the NVRC, which is across the street. What does it mean to have that on campus? You know,
I think the National Veterans Resource Center in the Daniel and Gail Daniela building, it is a one-of-a-kind asset in higher education. It's a remarkable facility that really is home to many of our veteran military-connected programs and resources. But importantly, it wasn't designed to silo that community off from the rest of the campus. It was exactly the opposite. We really worked to create a facility that would draw others that were not necessarily connected in any way to the veteran community, to the military community, into that facility to create collisions, if you will, between our military-connected students and others in a way to inform those who, again, don't know anybody that's ever served, for example, what that military service experience is like, and also to knock down some of the myths and stereotypes about who our military-connected students are.
Yeah, it's really cool to talk to students who are in programs that have kind of nothing to do with it, but have classes in that building and get to be in there.
And that's a great example. We specifically put a registrar classroom in that building for the express purpose of bringing students into the facility that wouldn't otherwise have a reason to be in the building.
Now, obviously, it's a shining example of philanthropy in action with the Daniela's commitment. But what are some other ways that we see philanthropy in action through IVMF, OVMA?
Yeah, I think from a philanthropic perspective, it's important to understand that almost everything we do at Syracuse related to the military-connected community is supported by philanthropy and grants. The IVMF runs programs, for example, all over the United States at a very, very large scale that are almost exclusively supported by philanthropy. You know, on the military-connected student side here on campus, it's also a big myth that every veteran comes to us with, you know, federal financial aid benefits, GI Bill, that will fund their entire experience at Syracuse. That is not even close to being the case. So the reality is we work very hard and depend on the generosity of our alumni and others to create the funds that can supplement those GI Bill benefits such that a student can experience Syracuse University and all it has to offer without financial barriers.
Tremendous. Let's switch gears just a bit, but it's also very related. Another hat you've worn on this campus, which is your involvement with the Micron announcement.
Yeah.
Tell me how exciting that makes you personally and really for the university as a whole.
I think all of us here, both at Syracuse University and Central New York, yet to fully wrap our heads around just how transformative this is going to be. You know, I've told folks that, you know, if you would have told me 4 or 5 years ago that I'd wake up one morning and see a Wall Street Journal headline that says Syracuse, New York beats out Austin, Texas for largest semiconductor manufacturer, but that's exactly what has happened. And I think, you know, when we look at $100 billion investment in this community, it's the largest private sector investment in the history of the United States. And it's happening 12 miles from our campus. And it really will transform you know, both how we think about a lot of what we do at the university, but more than that, it really is going to be, for the first time in many years, the opportunity for us to look at a Syracuse University engineering student, for example, and say, there's a reason for you to stay in Central New York. You know, there is a reason for you not just to come to Syracuse as a student, but then stay in Central New York. As a path to a profession, a career, and raise a family here. It's exciting.
There's been a theme throughout our conversation about community. And so let's wrap it up talking about the Orange family community and the way the work that has been done by IVMF and OVMA has really expanded what it means to be an alum of Syracuse University. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it has. When we look at, you know, for a different reason, I had the opportunity or the occasion to sort of look back over the last few years and try to get my arms around how many learners, how many students we've touched through these programs. And I sort of set the boundary condition on when Chancellor Severud arrived in 2014, and you know, trying to look at how many degrees, non-degree programs, boot camps, credentialing programs, how many lives we've touched, and the number's remarkable. So since 2014, just over 167,000 folks have gone through programs that we run out of the Institute or here on campus focused on that military-connected community. If you think about that, I mean, that number, also hard to get your head around, 167,000 people, and that's 167,000 new members of the Orange family that that really look at Syracuse University as a place that changed the trajectory of their lives. And you know, for that, I think over time, you know, a lot of people will look back in history, and particularly this sort of post 20 years of 2 wars in this country, and point to Syracuse University as an institution that made a difference.
Amazing. Well, that's what Boost the Cuse is, changing the trajectory of lives today, I think. It's what it's all about. Mike Haney, thank you so much for being with us.
You're
we appreciate
very welcome.
it.
Thrilled to be here.
Well, thank you, folks. From one interview to another, Boost the Cuse 2023 rolls on live here from the Newhouse School. As a football guy, I have sat with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Yes, I'm dropping names. And Patrick Mahomes and Roger Goodell. But the student in me right now is a little bit shaky that I am sitting next to 2 of the venerable deans here at Syracuse University. And so, guys, take it easy on me. My transcripts were and are all in order.
We're going to go double check.
We got some things to talk
You
about.
both were ready to say that. Many of you know these gentlemen by face, certainly by name, and you certainly know their work, and we're going to dive into it right now. David Van Slyke is the dean of the Maxwell School. Mark Lodato is the dean of the SI Newhouse School of Public Communications, both near and dear to my heart. Gentlemen, thanks for some time today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Scott. Great to be with you.
So you're watching the program here. You guys are keeping an eye on things. What do you think about Boost the Cuse and going worldwide like this? From what I understand, there are not many institutions ever that have tried their main day of giving to be a live 16-plus hour broadcast. Your thoughts?
I think it's pretty impressive. And frankly, there aren't a lot of schools in the country who could handle something
Oh,
like this.
100%.
So we're proud of all of our alums and certainly our facilities, and we're excited to host you here back at your alma mater at the Newhouse School. But there's a little bit of a challenge, right? We're putting all this effort in, and we want to boost the Cuse.
Let's go.
And we want to see some real delivery on behalf of our alums. So I'm challenging my advisory board out there.
Okay.
You know, we're going to ensure that they are doing their part and others. And Scott, as you know, this is all about participation. It's not about the dollar amount. It's about really
100%.
rallying behind the cause, and whatever that little bit is really makes a difference to all of us.
Thought, Dean?
Scott, you know, we have alums in 148 countries around the world.
That's awesome.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And a group of us were just in Korea last week, and there's 1,600 SU alums.
1,600 in Korea alone.
In Korea alone.
Yeah.
And think about how exciting that is to have this going on for a full day. No excuse. You're in every time zone.
There you go.
And as Scott said, we just want your participation.
Yeah, 100%. And as I was preparing for today and preparing to speak with both of you, I spent so much time in this building. By the way, love what you and your predecessors have done with the place. Didn't quite look like this in 1989 to 1993, my 4.5 years here on the campus, but it is beautiful, it is awesome, and of course the Newhouse School has such a legacy. Let's start with you, Mark, in terms of you became dean July of 2020, which summer of 2020, ladies and gentlemen, that'll be a chapter in your book, I'm sure, by itself.
Yes.
But now you're coming up on your third anniversary here. How have things changed, grown? What direction for the Newhouse School do you see?
It's been an incredible almost 3 years. And yes, I accepted the job in February of 2020 and then started in the summer of 2020, and things changed a lot in a short amount of time. But Scott, honestly, it was a great way to really stay focused on the mission, right, which is the successful education of our students and doing that in a safe way. And we really did that throughout the COVID time period, and I'm really proud of that. But from my perspective, we've made a lot of progress in advancing the initiatives of the Newhouse School to ensure that it remains the preeminent communication school in the country and arguably one of the very top in the world. And we're proud of that. You're proud of that. And we want to see that to continue. So we've made advancements on the curricular front, right? We always have to be forward-looking. This isn't something that always stays the same. Communications is changing rapidly in the technology. So we're concentrating hard in a few different areas. We're trying to elevate our connectivity to industry, especially in relation to technology, because communications and technology is so tight today, and we want to make sure our students are well positioned. Journalism continues to be hugely important, helping underscore the importance of journalism within our democracy. Yes. We've got several initiatives there. And then in the diversity and inclusion space as well. That's important for us. We want to be not only ensuring an inclusive environment and a diverse environment here at Newhouse, but we want to be seen as a leader in industry so that if it's corporations or foundations or agencies and they want to improve their efforts when it comes to diversity and inclusion in their own spaces, and they're looking for the right partner, that they come to Newhouse and say, wow, we want to work with you in this space. So we're advancing on several fronts, both in the research and the practical application, and I think we've got a lot of tools in place, and we're always looking for new opportunities. And one of the new spaces is esports. I don't know if you noticed, but
we're going to do a segment on esports later on, and I'm learning about this as I was preparing for this, but tell us a little.
Well, I've learned a lot in the last year. I by no means was not an esports expert, but we are launching this new joint degree with our colleagues over at the Falk College, which is going to be outstanding, and I think be a true industry leader for us. So there's a lot of momentum in a lot of different directions, and it's really, it's been frankly my pleasure to be the dean of the Newhouse School. I'm incredibly proud of our students, faculty, and staff, and I'm excited about what we'll be able to accomplish in the years ahead.
Well, you've got my contact info, and any way I can be of help to this generation and the next generation. I promised myself years ago that if I ever made it, quote unquote, that I would give back in hopes that the young men and women who will be the next generation of great broadcasters in front of and behind the camera would give back as well.
So and we're proud of all of our alums, and that's something that's very special to Syracuse University, I can tell
100%. The reason a lot of us came, as a matter of fact, to Syracuse from high school. So, Dean Van Slyke, so the Maxwell School, obviously premier graduate program, but in recent years, and I learned this getting ready for Boost the Cuse, opening up the curriculum, opening up the program to undergraduate students. How did that come about? How is it working? What's the vision for the future?
So it's great. I mean, you know, when you look back over time, you think about the number of students who took courses in the Maxwell School. And a lot of them had majors there. But, you know, it was really the Chancellor Severud and the Board of Trustees who said, why can students not apply directly to the Maxwell School? Which was music to my ears, and I was delighted for their support. And while that was a bit of a lift to be able to make that happen, one of the great things is that, you know, now all students feel a part of the Maxwell School, right? And they can apply as high school students, and they see the range of things that we do, right? The range of things that we do and the younger generations, They are so interested in the policy implications of so many different decisions. And whether, most of them are not going to go into government, but they see the role that policy is defined by government and policy as created by nonprofit organizations, private firms. It impacts everything that we do, right? We think about sports. There's policies everywhere around arbitration, around salaries, around drug testing, right? And so regardless of what your major is, we want students to feel like they can come to the Maxwell School and be a part of it. Mark and I were just talking about kind of the long, proud legacy of the number of Newhouse students who then pick up a second major in Maxwell. And
You can drop a couple names if you want to.
Well, you think about people like Mike Tirico and Jeff Glore, and I mean, these are folks who are, out there, and Mike was the convocation speaker last year for the College of Arts and Sciences Maxwell undergraduate convocation, and he talked about how his undergraduate in political science prepared him to cover the Olympics. When we look at some of our new undergraduate majors, they're really interdisciplinary. And the thing I love about them is they draw students from all across campus. So a new interdisciplinary major in environment, sustainability, and policy. It's not just kids in Maxwell, kids that are civil engineers, kids interested in public health, students interested, in supply chain. Those are their base majors. But then they say, look, the environment, energy, climate, sustainability, these are critical. We need to understand them. And so I think that's one of the really exciting things about the Maxwell School. Undergrads were always part of our life, but not formally acknowledged as such. Now they're formally acknowledged, and we love celebrating and creating an environment similar to Newhouse, where those students feel like they are at home when they come into the Maxwell School, that they own it, and we love that.
Yeah, my son is actually a Maxwell major
Come on,
undergrad. Yeah,
really?
Exactly. So.
How's he doing?
Actually,
he
he's
hold
got
up-
his mother's
let-
brains. He's doing very, very well.
Well, I've got two big brains with me right now, and let's talk about, I teased it at the top of this show here at 9:44, the joint venture between you two and your two schools to form the Institute for Democracy, Journalism, and Citizenship in Washington, D.C. I'm just going to open it up. Educate the folks, educate me about what it is and what the plan is to impact how students learn and to ultimately impact our nation.
Well, this is a multi-tiered process, and we're already well underway, and we're very excited about the Institute. And frankly, Scott, I think David and I look at this not necessarily as an opportunity, but as a calling. The Syracuse University needs to be involved in helping improve our society when it comes to things like elevating civil discourse, a return to civil discourse. We've got to be able to talk about things, disagree, but still have quality conversation and listen, as well as I said a little bit earlier, underscoring the importance of journalism within our democracy. It is a key component of who we are in the United States and what we do, and we need to make sure that we are doing what we can as the Newhouse School, Maxwell, and others to show people why journalism is important today and exemplify that and really reinforce that in our country, because that is key to us being able to create an informed society moving forward in the future. So we have lots of things going on. There's an element of research and thought leadership and bringing people together in convenings, but there's also a student component. For the first time, the Newhouse School has undergraduates each fall and spring in Washington, D.C., engaging in both class and internship opportunities. We're frankly following Maxwell, which has had a long-standing Washington, D.C. experience, and we've had students down there in the summer, but not so much during the rest of the year. That's already underway. We have our new director on board of the Institute, and she's off to a fast start. We have a hard time keeping up with her on occasion, so we're very excited how this is playing out. We have a lot in store in the months ahead, too.
Something to add?
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, as Mark says, it's in D.C. We're hoping to be that impartial, evidence-based, thought leader, where we can bring people together, organizations together, where we can tackle some really tough issues, and they're more than sound bites, right? And where the space is one in which it's not about who can I convince and how quickly can I convince them. It's let's take apart some of these hard issues, right? But the big thing is, it's moving out. It's covering the country, right? It's having a really strong footprint back here to Syracuse, New York, right? So it's not just that it's in DC and DC alone. And I think as you go around the country, this is part of what makes our country so great, so diverse, and sometimes very hard for people in other countries to understand. We're a really diverse country. There's a lot of perspectives on a lot of issues. But as Mark said, there's growing mistrust in institutions, And there's a growing mistrust of what constitutes evidence. And as an academic institution, we think it's really important to have evidence, but to make it relevant and accessible, right? And so we're excited that our students are going to be the next set of leaders and have this experience and be able to help shape and strengthen democracy.
Amen and amen. And this amazing place helped me to learn critical thinking, and then I'll just boil it down. You guys said a lot. Critical thinking and asking questions in pursuit of truth, objective truth.
Amen.
And something that, well, we all know we so desperately need, certainly from our media, who educates the rest of the populace as well. Dean, thank you so much for being here. This was a pleasure, guys. I wish we could go on for a while, but guess what? We got to hear right now from one of the all-time Syracuse greats. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Hi, it's Bob Costas. 50 years ago, while still a senior at Syracuse University, I got my first paying job, $30 a game, to call the games for the Syracuse Blazers in the old Eastern Hockey League. But I guess I was on my way. So many reasons for me to be thankful a half-century later to Syracuse University, for the experiences I had there, for the lifelong friendships that were made, and all the professional connections. And in my own way, like most of you, I've tried to boost the Cuse. One way is through the Costas Scholarship, aimed at Newhouse students. And through the years, a number of notables have received it. In fact, the very first one, back in 1987, happened to be the very talented Mike Tirico. And it turns out that he succeeded me in almost all the assignments I had at NBC. So passing the baton from one orange man to another. So don't forget to boost the Cuse and remain forever orange on the 23rd of March.
The great Bob Costas, who just celebrated a birthday 2 days ago. I know that because, believe it or not, Bob and I are only casual acquaintances, but I keep his birthday as a note in my phone to give me an alert, because Bob was the man who was the most influential in me choosing Syracuse when I was a high school student coming here to the Hill in central New York. Bob, thank you so much. Forever Orange. All right, time now to take a trip to Byrd Library for a special look at a special exhibit currently on display in the library's special collections. Syracuse University broadcast and digital journalism graduate student Sydney Staples joins us live from the library. Sydney, I punched your name hard because you said you wanted to have the Red Zone guy say your name for your father. So there it is for Mr. Staples and for you, Sydney, as the library recently celebrated its 50th anniversary. Take it away.
Thanks so much, Scott. And today I am joined by no other than Caroline Charles and Jessica Terry Elliott, the co-creators of an exhibit that we are standing only really in front of part of just a beautiful corner of it. And I want to give you guys the floor early here. What is this exhibit that we are standing in right now? What was the inspiration behind it?
So the inspiration behind the exhibition was the Black Arts movement of the 1960s and 70s, and through our research and through our collaboration, we kind of realized very early on that the Black Arts movement has a much wider story to tell, and we wanted to make sure that within this exhibition, we encompassed all of the things that we know as a Love Supreme.
Mm-hmm. And A Love Supreme is full of archival manuscripts, rare books, chapbooks, poetry, artwork, all of which come from special collections here in the archives on the 6th floor of Byrd Library. And for years, Special Collections has had a mission to collect these materials from the 1960s and 70s, specifically some of the things that you see behind me, journals from the Black Arts movement. So as Jessica said, we wanted to sort of expand our scope beyond that and look at this time period and Black people in this time period holistically as well.
So what is somebody that chooses to come up here to the 6th floor of Byrd Library? I'm making sure you guys remember this. If they choose to come up here, they're going to see a lot of things in front of them, a lot of beautiful pieces. But what is something that somebody may not notice that they should know about this exhibit?
I think everything is in the details. within this exhibition. And some of the things that you may not notice is how much this particular moment in time actually impacted this university. So we have featured in the exhibition, we have Syracuse University students featured in this exhibition, which people sometimes don't know about. And when they find it, it's something beautiful, it's something wonderful. It's like, oh, okay, so we were here in that moment as well. And that's something beautiful to watch students, alumni, and just visitors have an opportunity to get to engage with.
So now, I mean, we have a lot, not only in this room, and again, you guys are only seeing a corner of it, but what would you say is your favorite piece in this room, if you could choose one?
I think if we could choose one, it would be the piece behind us, which is the Jacob Lawrence, the library reproduction that we found in our manuscripts, and it spoke to myself and Caroline so well, because this was an opportunity to see us as Black women in the archive, whether it's studying, researching, or just preserving the materials from the past to be utilized thoroughly in the future.
Yeah, and we also felt that the library spoke to some of the ways that Black people were using writing, books, publications, in order to cultivate community, also to talk about new ways of creating Black art. So we just felt that it was a nice backdrop, not only for what was happening in the 1960s and 70s, but the ways that we were interacting with these materials.
Mm-hmm. And today, Boost the Cuse, a special day for Syracuse University, and everybody that has been with the university is currently with the university right now. What would a donation today mean to the both of you and to an exhibit like this?
I think a donation would solidify a future for exhibitions like this to be actualized and realized. As graduate students, this was a lot of work, and we can't do this kind of work without support. So I think for us, a donation would just mean a spot in the future.
Awesome. Great. And I want, before I toss it back to the studio, I wanted to ask you guys a fun question. If you could be any fruit at all, what would you be?
I would definitely be an apple, because those are quite literally my favorite. So,
what kind of apple?
Probably like a Honeycrisp.
Okay, okay.
Ooh, okay, and look at you doing my job. Okay. And what would you be if you could be a fruit?
I would be a mango.
Oh, all right.
I love mangoes.
Okay, cool. Now, I will say, no one said orange, so we won't tell Otto that. We won't tell him. But if you guys want to check out this exhibit, and again, we're only in front of a corner of it, it takes up the entirety of the 6th floor of Byrd Library. It will be open as of right now until July 15th, but we are crossing our fingers that it will be open and extended a little bit more into the month of August. Scott, back to you.
Ladies, thank you. Sydney, great job. Thank you both. We'll see you, Sydney, a little bit later on in the show. Folks, we are just getting started here on this day-long effort to boost the Cuse. We encourage you to support Syracuse University by making a gift donation of any amount to the part of Syracuse University that means the most to you. If it's the Black Arts movement right there, please earmark that in your donation. We will make sure that the money gets to the part of Syracuse that you want to support the most. Could be an athletics fund, or a scholarship program, or a student organization that helped set you on your path to success in your life and your career. All right, that's it for this show. We've got 14 more shows to go, going every 44 minutes on the hour, all the way through midnight here. Coming up on the next show, we're going to spend a few minutes catching up with one of our very best, Mike Tirico, live on Boost the Cuse at 10:44 Eastern. Text your friends, join us then, don't miss it. See you at 10:44.